Welcome to Bede Sisters on the road. I am in Greenville. I am vending at the KnitInn. It's the South Carolina Knitting Guild. I think that's the name of it. And they have a retreat this weekend, and there's a vendor market, and Heather Storta is teaching, and they've got some other teachers as well. So lots of events going on at the Hilton Hotel in Greenville. I am not at the Hilton for two reasons. One is it was booked up, and two, it's really expensive. So I'm at a considerably less expensive hotel down the road. But the event so far has been fine. We set up today, and the vendor market was open for about 2 hours for just the people who were attending. And then it'll be open to, obviously, to the people attending, but also open to the public for Friday and Saturday. I'll put in a picture somewhere here, maybe just here, of the vendor market, or at least of my booth today. And I'll try tomorrow to get some more pictures of other vendors. I may even, if I get a chance, I'll walk around and show you who else is here this weekend. Well, it is 7:25, and it feels like it's the middle of the night because it's been a really long day. My daughter Janie came up with me and hauled the entire booth in from our SUV into the back of the room where I am, and then got everything set up. I kind of panicked when I went in, not because anything was bad, but because I have a huge area, much larger than the usual 10 by 10 space that I have. And I also have two tables. They had two of the hotel tables with the tablecloths on them and everything. And I wasn't quite sure how to use it. They had them just set up end to end, and I thought my booth setup doesn't really work for that. So I took them apart, which they told me was fine, and set up one this way, one over here, and then I've got a one of my slat walls in the back and my checkout booth in there as well. But a fair amount of the stuff I brought, I didn't actually need. I could have brought something a little different if I had known this, but I think it's going to work out fine. You can tell me what you think of the setup. It's a beautiful space. It's actually the ballroom and the chandeliers and everything in there. It looks really pretty. I'm hoping that the vendor market will be pretty busy. It was fairly busy today, given that there is just a few people who are here and ready to shop this afternoon. But I'm kind of hoping that tomorrow will be a busy time, at least kind of waves as people are attending different events at the retreat. So anyway, as I said, I'm going to sign off. I'll try to get a little bit of footage tomorrow so you can see what it looks like, and I will check back in with you, hopefully after I've had a good night's sleep. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday at the Knitting Guild Market, and the market opens in about 10 minutes. I think a few people are kind of coming in early, which is perfectly fine with me. But I thought I would show you around my booth, and maybe I can get to a couple of other booths before the end of the day. So give me a second, I'll switch you around. Okay, here we are. I've got my Valentine bags, a lot of my pink stuff on this end. There's the heart drawstring bags. I've got sock sets in red velvet cake, and then I've got a Valentine one that, honestly didn't even get a name. It's just kind of my hot pink Valentine color. I've got the coffee display, some blueberry muffin sock sets, espresso sock sets. So much fun stuff. And the festive mistletoe socks, I have those, plus with the kits. Ice dye bags, I have a few of those. I've got a whole corner to myself, which is amazing. So much space. All right, everybody, I'm gonna sign off and get ready for the people attending the retreat, and I'll check with you later.
Oh, so hi, I'm Annie B, and I'm making the Charmeuse by Rumi Hill.
Ooh.
And I rarely ever buy kits. I always want to make my own colors, but I just adored how she did her sample, so I bought the kit, which
Oh,
is so not
excellent.
me.
And where did you get the kit?
Hill Country Weavers in Texas, from Texas. Like I had to
Okay.
call them. So
Okay.
I kind of
Good
just
to know. I
follow
agree with
the
your
session.
choice. That's gorgeous.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
Hi,
Okay.
I'm Jennifer, and I'm making felted cloths.
Ooh.
And that will be the sole, and the sole gets stitched together. So that's the bottom, and this is forming the toes right here,
Nice. And then it will be felted.
and then it will be felted.
Excellent. Thank you. This is Linda of the South Carolina Knitting Guild, and she is the organizer and person who's explained all the stuff to me when I got here. Tell us a little bit about your organization and this event specifically.
Okay. The event is the KnitInn is what they call it, and then followed by the current year. We have actually had a KnitInn for about 30 years. It has grown into this now. We used to have like 2 vendors. Now we have as many as we can get to come. We have about 140, 150 women that come. National designer. We have 25 classes going on during the weekend. And it's a 4-day event now. It used to be only 2 in the beginning. It's fun. It's people get to see each other once a year sometimes, so they get together and laugh and enjoy each other's company and share what's going on that year, what they've been making, what they've been doing with their lives. So it's a real nice, vibrant community that gets to see each other. Every year we have different vendors. I'm in charge of the marketplace, which is our vendor event. And every year we've had a couple of new. This year, half of our vendors are new. So that was exciting for the people too, because it wasn't the same thing. And so I'm always glad when someone wants to come and enjoys their time here and makes some money, because that's part of what you're supposed to be able to do. So I hope the ones that are here this year will want to come back. We certainly would want to have them.
Well, thank you very much. And what's your project?
Oh,
Let's get to the really important part. What are you working on?
That's what it'll grow up to be. And that's it so far.
Nice. Beautiful. Thank you so much,
Thank
Linda. It's
you.
been good meeting you. Hi, and welcome to Bede Sisters. I'm Kay, and I am back from the KnitInn in Greenville. I had a great weekend and got to know the other vendors really well. It was fun to have a small number. I think there were 10 total, counting me. So I got to spend a little bit of time talking to each of them, and even got interviews and had people walk through their booth with me and describe it for you. It was just such a great experience. There was Erin from Hinkston Handmade, who has great self-striping yarn. I met Susannah, who does a lot of weaving supplies and dyed cotton. I think it's Lofty Fibers. It's a shop in Easley, South Carolina. They have a lot of weaving equipment. Courtney from Tomchick Designs. She does buttons and pins and that kind of stuff. Connie from Sheep Incognito. She does the sheep paintings, like the whimsical sheep paintings. She was my booth neighbor. On the other side of me was Sue of Harvest Moon. It's Harvest Moon and Clay Cat. We had a great time being booth neighbors again. We were booth neighbors at SAF a couple of times. On the other side of her was the Fiber Fairy, Cheryl of the Fiber Fairy. I had not met her before, but enjoyed meeting her and getting to know her. Made a purchase from her booth. The Yarn Yogi is the one that has one of the ones who has a bus. We're gonna have some dog shenanigans today. My son's giant dog is visiting, and say hi, Green. And Bentley's here too. Wow, she didn't knock anything over. Let's see if that continues. Anyway, so the Yarn Yogi had her yarn bus, so it's her shop on wheels, Angie, I think. And then last but certainly not least, Miss Babs. So there was a booth from Miss Babs, and she was there. Had a great time getting to know her a little bit. It was just such a good weekend. So without further ado, I want to introduce the first video that I want to share with you. I asked for a tour of Miss Babs' booth, and she obliged. She showed us through the entire booth describing each of her bases. So what a joy. So here we go. Here's Miss Babs telling you all about her booth.
Hi, I'm Babs of Miss Babs Hand Dyed Yarns, and I have grid here with gradient sets and samples that show how gradients can be used in projects, and lots of these are shawls. And then we have Laurel Falls, which is my new sport yarn and is an American yarn, American sheep. And so we're here. This is another project that uses that. So it's really cute. And so this is my Killington, which is a wool and silk yarn and is 350 yards and is a non-superwash. I have a mix of superwash and non-superwash yarns. This is a yarn that we call Cupcake because it has speckles in it, and like cupcakes have sprinkles. And then there's Yowza, which is my well-known yarn, which has 560 yards.
There's a skein in my stash.
And 8 ounces of yarn. So then, and this is a soundtrack sweater that was knit out of Yowza. And then we go into the Yummy 2-ply, which is superwash merino, 4 ounces, and is a yarn that I've been dyeing for 20 years or thereabouts. And this is a sweater that was knit in that. So this is the Novelli by Caitlin Hunter. Then we have, I am so bad at remembering names. This is the Chauncey by Isabel Kramer, and it uses 3 of these Yummy 2-ply and a coordinating color. And then this is one of my absolute favorite yarns, is Katahdin. It's full-size skein is 1,750 yards of blue-faced Leicester. It is superwash, but it takes color nicely. It wears well. It's a light fingering. It's great for sweaters and accessories. This is a sample. Yes, this is the intermission wrap. And I know it's a big shawl, but I like big shawls.
I do too. too.
Other people like smaller ones, but I like them.
I have a friend who calls them socially acceptable blankets.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And then we have Putnam, which is a sock yarn and has 25% nylon and superwash merino. So here's a sock that was done in that. We have Estrelita, which has lurex and superwash merino. So it is a great yarn for doing flashy little accessories. It's also can be used for socks. So then we come over here and we have Moonglow, which is mohair and silk, and it's 400 yards. It's great to carry along or to make some projects with just mohair and silk. And then last but not least, I have the colorway, which I did, which is based on an inspiration photo of the park downtown and the stream that goes by it. So, or river, I think. So, there we go.
Thank you so very much. I am delighted to hear you describe your yarns.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
it. Our next interview is Erin of Hinkston Handmade. Erin is an amazing yarn dyer. She is the absolute queen of self-striping yarn, in my personal opinion. And I bought this one. It didn't have a name at the start of the show, but I think it's Galentine chocolate box or something. But yeah, it starts with Galentine anyway. So if you want to look it up on her website, go to Hinkston Handmade. I got the sport sock, and it's just a gorgeous pink and brown and like a box of chocolates, self-striping yarn. So here's Erin to tell you about her booth and her yarn. This is Erin of Hinkston Handmade, and I'm so excited to hear her tell about her self-striping yarn. She is brilliant.
Hi. So
No pressure.
That's okay. As she said, I'm Erin, and I dye primarily self-striping yarn. We have anything from super bright colorways to more dark and moody colorways. We've got 3 bases right now. I'll show you the basics. And right now, this is my sturdy sock. This is a 100% US based sock yarn. The sheep are raised here. The yarn is processed and milled and here, and of course I dye it, so that's a good one. And then this one is my shiny sock base, and as you can see, it is super shiny, and it's done by the same company as this one. So again, all American made and raised, and so you know your sheep are being treated ethically. And then this is my sport weight. So I do a little bit of sport weight in my yarns, and again, that is a good option for a heavier sock if you would like to do that. Mm-hmm. So those are our 3 bases, and I'll go ahead and show you some of our new colorways. This one is Love Potion, and for some reason I didn't intend on going all in on this Valentine thing, but I looked up and there was pink all around me. It just happens that way sometimes. I was surrounded by pink, and I don't usually do pink, but that's okay. But this is Love Potion, and that's our sparkle base. So pretty. And this is Lavender Latte. Mm-hmm. That's just our sturdy sock. And we also have Meemaw's Herb Garden. And this one was one I had to have a little help in naming, and I'm gonna call it Galentine's Chocolate Heart. So
It's a perfect name.
I thought it looked very edible.
We do not recommend eating.
Don't
your
eat the
sock
yarn though. I've got a cat that tries to do that. It's not a good. It's not a good
Yeah,
thing.
we'd hate to have to take you to the vet.
Yes. And this one is Broken Hearted. Super bright and fun.
I don't think the camera is fully capturing how stunning that is. That is.
It's extremely.
awesome.
It is hard to. It's hard to photograph too. I'm just that bright of pink. And then the last new one is this one, and this is Ice Cream for Ice Cream. So it is all kinds of different ice cream flavors. You got pistachio and strawberry and chocolate chip, and so it's never too cold for ice cream.
Never. Well, thanks, Erin.
You're
It
very
was really
welcome.
good to hear you telling about your bases and your colors. I love hearing the dyers describe their colors themselves. It's always much better than I would do.
Inspiration really just kind of comes from, I don't know when it's, it's like lightning sometimes. It's just going to strike wherever it wants to. So
I love it. Thanks so much,
Right,
Erin.
thank you.
This is Susannah. She has a fair amount of things like cotton fiber, dyed cotton fiber, and I think it's embroidery and some artwork made from some of her fiber. So here she is to tell you about that. This is Susan of Susannah, and she's going to tell us about her shop and her product and her booth. Okay.
Good morning. I'm Susannah of Susannah's in Morganton, North Carolina. I'm a weaver and I own a knitting store. I do a lot of teaching of beginning weavers on rigid heddle looms, and I try to encourage people to start with a yarn that I found that's really good for beginning weavers, which is a hand-dyed cotton that I sell. So I brought a lot of cotton. This is the South where people like to stay a little cooler. And then I also dye cotton for the quilters and the stitchers, and I dye sashiko thread. I make a lot of kits, and I make wall art using the scraps of my fabrics that I've dyed.
Beautiful. Oh, I love them.
And of course I sell knitting yarn.
Of course.
I have a lot of knitting yarn. I didn't bring a lot because there are a lot of other people who brought knitting yarn. But I make a lot of bags. I make kits for bags.
Oh, I love the closure.
This is called a Japanese rice bag. And it's a really simplified pattern for people who aren't experienced knitters. I pre-cut it all so that it's a little easier.
Oh, excellent.
I like to do a lot of things with recycled fibers and fabrics and stuff, like my paintings. I have a collection of felted things I make into bags. I have a vintage fabric collection because I'm a fabricaholic, and I sew things. And then I specialize in indigo dyeing and hand-stitched shibori and sashiko pieces. So I make bags that I embellish with my indigo. Some of that's commercial, but most of that I dyed, right?
It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
It was very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Next is Lofty Fibers. They're a shop in Easley, South Carolina. They have yarn and things for knitters and crocheters, but they, I think, are one of the largest weaving suppliers in the Southeast. So I'm excited to learn some more about their products.
This is Dawn from Lofty Fiber, and she has, okay, make sure I say it right, the largest.
Well, we're a
weaving
large weaving supplier in the Southeast, probably. So yeah, weaving's really one of our big specialties, and where most of our business is focused, both on the looms to the technology for weaving, weaving software. Tempo Treadle is our product. We also wholesale certain yarns. We have a linen line Euroflax that we purchased in 2019 that we do weights for knitting and weaving, and we are now starting a new cotton line. So but this is a knitting show, so this is knitting focused here, and we did bring some of our linen and linen samples. There's some on both sides here. And there are other beautiful yarns too that we love, like the earth yarns, the spiral grain, and more linen samples. And minis are always fun. There's lots of things you can do with mini skeins. And we have a retail store and weaving studio in Easley, South Carolina. We're in downtown Greenville now, and that's about 20 minutes away. And so that's who we are.
Thank you, Dawn. You have a great booth and some really pretty products. I really want to try to make some time to go visit your physical store, your actual shop.
Yeah, we'd love to
great.
see you. Yeah, it's kind of a big rambling space, so there's a lot in there.
It sounds wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this opportunity to get to know some fiber artists and vendors in this business. There's so much creativity and so much joy in hearing them talk about their products. So I was really, really happy to share them with you. And thank you to all of the vendors. Thank you for all of the vendors who talked to me and were willing to share their creativity, their inspiration. What a joy and what encouragement it is to me. And I'm sure it'll be inspiring for you as well. Talk to you soon.